and 19 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room because he was a whistleblower. They targeted him. He was under protective watch, and his protection didn't show up, and they forcibly removed him, took him down to the arms room because it's a soundproof room, and they took his life there. And because of what happened with Vanessa Guillen, if you don't know that case, her body was found right before this, days before this, and her body was never intended to ever be found. It was a very sophisticated grave, and yet, by the grace of God, her body was found. And so Richard's body was stolen off of Fort Bliss and trafficked to Juarez, Mexico. Our evidence, strong evidence, indicates it was disposed of in a place called Plenitude Crematorium. Recently, since President Trump became president again, number 47, Plenitude Crematorium was exposed. It is a funeral home fraudster operation connected to Grupa Purchase, which is a transnational funeral home empire on the border, and huge. It's huge, and it's connected to many other funeral homes under different names, but in alliance to that. And of course, La Diabla, who was harvesting organs and babies, targeting pregnant women. And of course, they needed a place to dispose bodies. And Plenitude Crematorium, the pictures that came out of that 400, over 400, it's reported like 386, but because skeletons were found later on, and in our sources and numbers, it's over 400, and that's just in that one period of time. They've been doing this for a long time. Over 400 bodies rotting in a very rogue, unauthorized operation. Those are the key words right now, because this had no permits, no license, no air conditioning, no potable water, no inspections. It was allowed to run under the El Chapo fentanyl governor, Maru Campos. Her mother was Cuca Spears. I hope I say that right, but what it was is the oversight for, health services. It was her duty to inspect and to make sure they had permits and everything. And of course, she didn't do it because they're in alliance with each other. The family that owns that is the Purchase Arellano Corón family. And they have major Panista ties, right? Panista ties. There's pre and pan party, and they align together, but the Arellano Corón family, very, very influential in the pan party. And of course, over in El Paso, there's really no border. They've been abusing the border for so long. They didn't want a border to exist. They didn't want to respect the sovereignty of the United States and the sovereignty of Mexico. They wanted to erase that border, but that wasn't their border to erase, you see. And they're absolutely cartel. They're absolutely El Chapo, Sinaloa, terroristic organization. They're aligned with the CJNG cartel, a very brutal, flesh peddling, flesh eating cartel. They are in alliance with La Linea. La Linea is coming out of the Nova Casa Grandes. I would say it's the Mormon faction part of the cartel. Um, of course, the Mormon faction El Paso cartel, which is huge, that's Connell Wetton, is connected to the Chihuahuan Mormon faction polygamous um, colonies there. Uh, and once everybody understands the impact of the Mormon faction polygamous colonies and their growth because they were polygamous, right? Um, I think Romney's grandfather had 6 wives and all of them had children. I think there was almost 60 children, right? So, and of course, Romney's an old man now, right? Mitt Romney. So that's one of the probably the most famous people. The Wettons are very famous, and Connell Leonard Wetton is in the FBI office as an assistant special agent in charge there in El Paso. And of course, when you look at all of these names of the settlers in Chihuahua, because they're dual citizens, okay, they're dual citizens, and so they can join the FBI, they can join the DEA, they can join the CIA, they can join the ATF. They can be in that intelligence law enforcement community at the border. Um, and also, they could also join the cartels, right? Which the faction, the Mormon faction, absolutely has joined the cartels, and they built up a a cross-border cartel network, and they also are in El Paso, and we named them the El Paso Cartel. That's We coined that, the El Paso Cartel, because that's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are, and they were really the protective cartel in alliance with the CJNG and the Juarez cartel. You have the Juarez cartel is like the media part of it, and then and more, but because there's booze involved and drugs involved and all of that. But when you look at for the most part what they kind of do, they all have their place with either the tunnels or the media or the drugs or the human trafficking or the money laundering, the embezzlement, um, and also being in the FBI and being in the CIA and being in the politics of it, like El Paso cartel operative Alejandra de la Vega Foster. She's in the politics of it on both sides at the same time, serving under both the Texas governor's administration and the Chihuahua's governor's administration, and being, having access to all of that intelligence. And on the Chihuahuan side, she even sat on commissions with the intelligence community. She was economics and development, right? She was economics and development. Her handprint is all over the Platforma Centella um, AI surveillance network that includes the 20-story Torah Centella Tower that points right at Fort Bliss, right on the border, right beside the bull ring, if you know Juarez, Mexico, there. But that whole platform is along the border, $1.27 billion. So huge, and an alliance then with the Mexican Israeli arm of this whole thing. So, with Nadal Baim, we have the Hezbollah, Iranian um, arm. Then, of course, with Bertha Fong, then you have the Chinese arm um, with that. And then you have, of course, the Mormon arm. You have the Roman Catholic arm to this, too. Um, but this is, been developing for decades and terrorizing people, communities, countries for decades, stealing fuel, siphoning billions of barrels of public fuel called Pemex in Mexico, embezzling millions, y'all, millions, if not billions. And look at Maru Campos. She just thinks that the Chihuahuan people are her bank, right? Because she's using their money to pay off media to cover for her crimes. And it's huge. And then now we have bribes involved in the crematorium plenitude, um, which is huge news. And then you have all of the rogue, unauthorized operations that caused recently the deaths of two CIA agents because they were on her payroll. Okay, they were on her payroll. They weren't the only ones on her payroll. There were, there's so many that a floor in this 20-story high tower surveillance AI surveillance tower and intelligence. They call it the mini Pentagon. Okay. Um, the 18th floor was supposed to be for and is there ATF, CBP, FBI, CIA, DEA are in that so they're operating in a foreign country. Okay. Um because of a signature of a governor, a governor of Chihuahua, of an El Chapo fentanyl governor, a absolutely cartel operative. And she was in. This is breaking news. This is really breaking news, and I wanted to add it to something, but I'm just going to say it right now. She was at Langley for a long time. She lived in Langley, Virginia. So spidey senses and red flags go up because is Maru Campos a CIA asset, right? Is she a CIA asset? We have all these questions about Jeffrey Epstein. And Jeffrey Epstein, right there, everything is like right there at that El Paso border, that White Sands Missile Range secured airspace that goes right up to Santa Fe. Santa Fe is a huge hub because that's where Zorro ranches, that's where Beto O'Rourke's family ranches. And that's where the congregates of Obama and Oprah, and of course, Bill Sanders, who is the billionaire father in law of Beto O'Rourke, and the Pritzers. These are all the Pritzers, the Sanders, um, Obama, Oprah, they're all from Chicago. Okay. But Santa Fe is their hub, is their little hub. And we know now it's been made official that El Paso is a storage hub. And what did this? What did Sanders own? Storage. He owned storage. That was his specialty, right? All kinds of storage. If you needed anything, and of course the documents coming out of Jeffrey Epstein's file absolutely confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein stored items, sensitive items, with U.S. Storage, which is Bill Sanders' storage company. Um, so, this, like I'm saying, the El Paso cartel has a real grip in that area, And of course, Fort Bliss and White Sands being so large, they could really take advantage of that and really, the fraud, waste, and abuse is billions, billions, because they were trafficking everything. They were stealing. They were absolutely stealing. And Richard told me and told our family, it was so bad. It was so bad what they were doing, because how do you express the fuel theft, the weapons theft, the ammunition, the all the equipment, the sex cult activities, the human trafficking, and this is why I don't subscribe, and I think it's very evil that anyone subscribes to polygamy, because of 6 years of what we've investigated shows that there is no loyalty to the family, no loyalty to they're always looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend, so they're always dating, and it got very, very bad. It became a very sex cultish. It is very sex cultish. It is can be very violent. It can go into the worst type of crimes against children. Absolutely. Over and over again in this is, Dallas Hart, his father is married to three women that we know of. And the reports are just, you just shudder. You just shudder, Um, it's so bad. It's so bad. And it just, leads to a lot of bad activity. When you're very sexually deviant like that, um, then it comes out in violent or weird, um, expressions of it. And I'm not saying that as an opinion. I'm saying that that is what all of our and we've done 6 years, day in and day out, hundreds, if not thousands, of individual investigations. And, it comes out in multiple bankruptcies, a lot of money laundering, a lot of crimes against children, a lot of crimes against women, a lot of sexual deviant behavior, violent behavior. And one of the good examples of that um, is, the lead investigator of the Walmart mass shooting. Okay, so the lead FBI investigator in the mass shooting, we've been in the last, days really combing over his files. And, I'm not going to repeat them, well, maybe I should repeat some of it, but I can tell you this, it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking because it's so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy. And to read through the divorce, and it's kind of like reading through um, Leilani Hart's affidavit. Yeah, the first time you read through it, you're like, wait a minute, I got to take a pause. I got to take a pause and go for a walk and get a drink and breathe, because this is who they give top secret uh, access to. This is who they give VA IDS Pablo access to. This is who, is the prime suspect in the taking of our son's life. Um, I mean, just monsters, just monsters. It is just so, so bad. And I can tell you, and we're not quite finished yet. I'm not quite finished yet. I'm reading through all of the files for David Scott Frost. David Scott Frost. Um, but the protective order, you can tell they're a huge cover up in the paperwork because of the speed of it. It's kind of like the speed of Patrick Crucius's application for public funds, right? For appointed counsel. Here, this shooting happened on the 3rd, which was a Saturday. On Sunday morning at, what was it, 5:50, 5:45, or something like this, 5:54, I believe, in the morning, a.m. on a Sunday morning. They already approved public funds for him, even though there's records out there that say he's worth over $1 million. And that, of course, in Allen, Texas, the house in Allen, Texas is absolutely jaw-dropping. He does not come from a poor family at all. He comes from means, a lot of means, and yet the approval for public funds, millions of dollars they took from the taxpayer money to defend Patrick Crucius, millions, and we didn't even get a trial, and people, yell at me through the keyboard and say, you need to leave it alone. And I'm like, really? They stole so much taxpayer money. We have every right to demand the records of that. Where are the forensics? Where are the ballistics? Where are the witness testimonies? Where's the video? Where is the video? We want the video. You spend, you take um, millions and millions of dollars from the taxpayer money. We have the right to see the case. We have the right. And of course, it's very intertwined with our son's case. So the Walmart mass shooting has always been very protected. And now we know why. We know why because with David Scott Frost, and that name is just like so many connections and family connections and names and everything. It all makes sense. But he was in headquarters, and he maybe still is in headquarters with under Sean Bernabe, and so he was active duty military SFC. The paperwork say he was a SFC, which is an E7, um, which is a senior NCO. So he absolutely knew Jake Jakovitz, and Jake Shaky Jake. Now I knew why you were shaking. I mean, I know why you were shaking then, because you told us you had something to tell us, but you just couldn't muster the courage to do the right thing. You couldn't. You want to shake through your life, um, and now you have to face God for what you did, because I know for a fact that you had information because you said so to our face, and yet you just couldn't do it. And of course, he was the command sergeant major, and of course, he knows who Frost is. Frost being a senior NCO. Um, Even though I have to say that Shaky Jake is 32nd ADCOM, whereas AMDC, they changed it, air defense missile, air and missile, what is it? Army, AAMDC, what is it? Someone help me out. It's late at night. But I know that that's different, but it's all on Fort Bliss. It's all under the same JAG, the UCMJ. So let's just, view it all from there and say they're all right there on Fort Bliss, and they know each other. It's not that big of a place. I mean, it's big, but it's not that big. And especially when it comes to this group, that, has an FBI lead investigator that is also a senior NCO in the Army in the very headquarters of Sean Bernabe, and of course other generals, but for the time that we were there, major part of Richard's case. I mean, it's all major. It's all major. So anyway, just for an example, this absolutely confirms, y'all, that the military were a big part of the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. Okay? Not just that they just covered it up. No, that they orchestrated it and carried it out. It was bloody. It was very bloody. And they were a big part of it. And of course, and also the cover up. That's what this means. It's really jaw dropping. And to see the way Maru Campos, to understand that this is a group that has hurt both of our countries. It's not like Americans are going over to Mexico and Mexicans are going over to America. It's a group that is the El Paso cartel, or in alliance with the cartels. They have no um, reverence for the sovereignty of either country. Okay, I don't think they would even. I don't even know if they even call themselves truly an American or a Mexican. I think they identify with their cartel. That's how they identify. Because no person in their right mind would do what they have done if they loved their country. And this is where, right? It's hard to know. So, and there is not too many genuine people in office. There are some, but not too many. And that's why we need to really do our job in sharing, and filing and holding them to doing their job. It's kind of like a parent with a child. You have to kind of make them do their job, right? You have to make them do their job, and you have to do a lot of oversight. That's not an official oversight that can be bought out or compromised. So absolutely keep an eye on all your officials where you're at, because El Paso is really compromised, and so is Chihuahua. And you see that by Cesar Haragui running over to El Paso to hide out, for Jose Luis Ariano Caron to hide out in El Paso. That's where they feel safe, because they know that the institutions have been compromised and that they can't really be prosecuted. I mean, it would really, they can be, but it would be, it's very difficult in a very compromised situation. And that's why we really need to clean this up. We need to clean this up, because we won't have a country, right? We won't really have nice communities and everything. So, so that's really that news, and um, to that, which is huge news, that we have the military confirmed to be involved in the orchestration, directly responsible for the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. Yeah, and also and what happened to Richard. So I did do a picture of Maru Campos, and let me see if I can. Yeah, so here it is. A fish dies by its own mouth, and she has her mouth opened up very, very wide because she was on. Um, she's been doing a Mexican media tour to cover up for her treason. That's exactly, but she's done a terrible job, y'all. Terrible job. And I'm going to play a video for you here. This is the video and just a few minutes of it. Um, and I'll just start it and let this man. Okay, so this is originally in Spanish, but it's been dubbed to English. So if it sounds a little silly, that's why.
Just like that. But where Maru Campos made the most noise was with Joaquin Lopez Doriga, also on Radio Formula. Here we had pointed out that Maru Campos and her government gave the money to the bribing media, among them Radio Formula, which receives 33 million pesos in advertising. In isa. And obviously all the interviews that were done on Radio Formula, well, the media outlets were really bad. They were obviously trying to please Maru Campos.
They were trying to make her look good.
And here we have, for example, the
because
video.
she had paid
and
them.
Look at this. I've seen, if not the word, huge blunders in everything I've seen on social media. But I've never seen such an impudence from a person as I saw to Shepachadi na kay Maki o Zababa o Javier Camposa. Look at the video. I even think
you can
her
just
team,
put your own.
Joaquin Lopez Doriga told her, close don't say anything. It's better not to talk. I'm better not to talk. Because when Maru Campos was speaking, she got into trouble, and I think her team was signaling her to be quiet, and Maru Campos decided to stop the orista with Joaquin Lopez Doriga. Look at the video.
There was collaboration and presence of U.S. agents, except for the CIA, except of Chihuahua.
That's right. And that is now duly documented, argued, and supported. What? The law? And no law has been violated in the process.
I ask you, as governor, you cannot make agreements with federal agencies in the United States. It has to be the federal government, right?
Oh,
and the federal government was aware that these agents were operating.
Let's go back.
I ask you, as governor, you cannot make agreements with federal agencies in the United States. It has to be the federal government, right? And the federal government was aware that these agents were operating there.
Sir, we were not operating. They were a matter of cooperation. Let me give you an example. A perpetrator of violence who, according to the United States, had just gone to Chihuahua or was in such and such a federal entity, and I needed help in arrest him in order to extradite him to the United States. We were doing collaborative referral between perhaps two states or just the state of Chihuahua. That agency would look for the perpetrator of violence, and he would go to the United States.
Agents from that agency, personnel from the agency.
Okay, so this is so bad. And the reason why is because she just admitted that there was no authorization from the federal government and that they were running rogue operations to, I guess, was lying through her teeth. I think, in my opinion, she was lying through her teeth because you can't just extradite somebody. She would have to, that would have to go through the channels of the federal government of Mexico to extradite somebody. So, of course, they did rogue operations with El Mayo, right? And so here she is absolutely admitting that she is doing treasonous rogue operations. And she's just digging herself in like, I want to be treasonous. I want to be a traitor. I mean, she's just digging herself in, putting those names all on her. I'm an El Chapo fentanyl governor, and I act, with like I'm the president of Mexico, even though I'm just the governor. I mean, I need to put a little rap song to what she just did here because it is so damning to her. It was so damning to her that her people in the studio were waving and saying, cut it. And then she ended well, I'll let you see it finished.
That requested it participated in that operation.
Yes, yes. In other words, they participated, right? Well, those who were supposed to be at that time
They participated.
catching or detaining that perpetrator of violence, who in that case was Mexican, participated. It
Could be the DEA or the FBI.
could be the DEA or the FBI. It doesn't help if you move like that because I can't see a thing.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
No, but no one is covering you.
They're making a lot of signs over there, and so I don't understand what's happening.
Good.
Who's the third base manager here?
No one.
Hey, well, this collaboration exists, but that collaboration was duly supported at the time by the request of the United States.
Okay, and they cut it
Well-
off. So that was, I mean, a fish dies by its own mouth. That was the perfect analogy for this. And I want to also explain a little bit about how she was saying by the request of the United States. No, it was in alliance with the El Paso cartel. See, she doesn't say that. It wasn't that the Biden administration or the Trump's administration, was asking, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was the Biden administration, but it was, I don't believe it was those federal administrations at all. There's no proof of it at all. What proof there is the facilitation of the treasonous treaty by Alejandra de la Vega Foster, okay, who is a double agent, who is El Paso cartel. And the El Paso cartel operatives getting General John Kelly, to work for Maru Campos as a security advisor. That was not something that came from the federal government. That came from the requests of Alejandra de la Vega Foster, her husband Paul Foster, Woody Hunt. They're the ones that got John Kelly, the former four-star Marine general, to work for Maru Campos, which was so illegal because you have to register that, right, as a foreign agent. So they keep that very low key, but that happened. And so when she says the request of the United States, she's saying really, in my opinion, I have to put that in, the El Paso cartel, which are in alliance with the CJNG cartel, very big there in El Paso. Okay, they have a very big footprint in El Paso. And yeah, that needs to be clarified. So what else do I have here? Oh my gosh, yeah, let's do that one. Um, so we know that her administration did all of these rogue operations, or allowed a rogue operation with the funeral home fraudsters. We know that she allowed, in her administration, an alliance, a pact being made with the New York Police Department. So big of a pact that she even had her police vehicles um, plaster on their decal, the New York Police Department's decal in Chihuahua, Mexico. Okay, yeah, and that's illegal. Okay, because I'm not saying that that country and all that can't cooperate and work together. I'm saying that that has to be approved by the Senate, it has to be approved by Congress, has to be approved by the Mexican federal government, and she just can't operate like she is at all. That she has no checks and balances at all. When she absolutely does, both in the United States and in Mexico. And so she's, allowing this funeral home fraudster transnational. Um, and now the owner, Jose Luis Arellano, one of the owners, is now a fugitive in El Paso. If he is in El Paso and somebody is harboring him or helping him in any way, that's a felony in the United States. So, just saying, because because of all the bribe and everything that was discovered. Now, um, so she made the treasonous treaty. She made her, it's all these rogue, unauthorized operations. And now we discover she did one with Israel. And that's really important because she's making a water deal with Israel. Okay, a water deal. And why? Because the AI, she's also, it's water and technology, because they built this platforma, Centinela, the Taurus Centinela, and it's AI. It's AI, and of course, it's surveillance. So if you want to do surveillance, Chihuahua has a long history of using the Pegasus software, which is a spy software, and that is absolutely an Israeli software. They also want water, but the water, water holds memory. But the water needs to be clean, y'all. And so this might have like a, they mean it for evil and God means it for good, but the water needs to be plentiful and it needs to be clean. And uh, so this was a water deal. And their aim, absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind, it's my opinion, that they're trying to provide for their surveillance platform. But of course, they'll sell it to the people as like, that they really care, that they're very benevolent, after they've, embezzled and stolen billions of their fuel and all of that, then they'll say, oh, yeah, and then use their taxpayers' money to pay for media coverage, then they'll say, oh, yeah, we care about you. And they don't care about you at all. They don't care about us at all. But we care about them, and we have to drive them to do the right thing or get them out of there. Absolutely get them out of there, because at the end of the day, and I know this from the United States, they work for us. They work for us. We don't work for them. And what's happened is we've gotten soft. I think all of their hocus pocus and the TV and all of that has made us like, oh, we're supposed to be tolerant, made us feel guilty for holding them accountable to their jobs, and we've gone soft, and we allowed them to run over us and abuse us. But I think people are starting to wake up now and not put up with it. I know that we're not. They work for us, and we want our son's remains, and we want accountability. And until then, we'll work very hard to report those that are obstructionists and fraudsters and up to no good. So, and this agreement was absolutely illegal. It's illegal because it's with Israel, and so this was a job for, this was, you have to go through the right channels to get an agreement at this level, and Mauro Campos didn't do that, and so yes, this here is that agents, because it was more than just John Black and Richard Johnston that were on the payroll of Mauro Campos. And our sources are telling us that uh, there are many, should I say multiple, should I say many, CIA agents, FBI agents, ATF agents, CBP agents. Um, did I forget one? I don't know if I forgot one, but that they are absolutely singing now, singing um, about the corruption. So, so that was, and is President Trump shocked at this? Um, I would say he is, and you might even kind of not agree with me. Um, but I think that he is absolutely. Thank you, Clarence. I pray you find peace and justice for your family. I'm on the coast and just found you, but gonna run. I'll pray for y'all. Thank you so much. Um, so and thank you so much. I mean, that means so much. And please share. Please share this story, because this is what drives them to do their job, is to be transparent. And that's why, they've been obstructing justice throughout this whole thing, and not letting us see documents. But, the documents are starting to flow now. But um, yeah, it's really important to know that the CIA agents are, and ATF agent, the agents that were on her payroll are feeling comfortable enough to speak out now, because when this all first started, they were so scared. I can't even tell you. They were scared to even talk to me. And I videotaped that, and I should put that on there again, because I think it really shows a difference in the atmosphere between then and now. Um, so I think that's it for today. We covered a lot there with these signatures are undeniable, right? They're just undeniable. And the agreements are undeniable, and you just have to search for them. I just search, and there they are, and more are coming out. And as the agents speak, we're going to learn even more. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time, and I will be